Oh, ah, Fang's out. Starving. Better get me some breakfast. Stay tuned, by the way. Why, hello there, and welcome to another helping of the bloody Fang-Tastic show. I'm your host, Lark The Vampire, and yes, it's the show where we give you a triple helping on vampire movies, Vouch Reviews Mythology, on a vampire movie, and this month we're going back to 1985. Can you guess what it is? Yes, it's Fright Night. Let's go with the review first, shall we? So, this is written and directed by Tom Holland. No, not Spider-Man Tom Holland. I'm on about the filmmaker Tom Holland that's done other classics like Psycho 2 and Child's Play. So, this is, as I just said, written and directed by him, starring Chris Sarandon, William Ragsdale, Amanda Barris, Stephen Jeffrey Miller, or Stephen Jeffries, and Roddy McDowall, Planet of the Apes. So this is a supernatural teen comedy horror where a young 17-year-old boy, Charlie Brewster, has quite a basic life. He's a horror fan, he loves his horrors, he has a girlfriend, Katie, as well. He has a good buddy in it as well, a friend called Billy. Is it played by Jonathan, played by Jonathan Stark, is it? And yeah, so he loves this show called Fright Night, hosted by Peter Vincent, played by Roddy McDowall, and they're on the topic of vampires. And then, of course, we then find that he has a new neighbour called Jerry, and he starts to suspect that he may be a vampire. First, everyone thinking he's nuts, including Peter Vincent, but then we soon find that he is not bullshitting, and that Jerry is really a vampire and he is evil, and wants to turn Charlie's girlfriend, Katie, into a vampire, which he almost succeeds. But of course, Peter Vincent goes into character and decides to stand up and face this menace head on instead of whimpering out, and goes into his full-on character. With Charlie at his side, they then take down Jerry and his familiar, and of course Charlie saves the girl and wins her over, and Peter Vincent decides to move on from vampires and do aliens on Fright Night instead. So that's the story there. So what did I like about this? Well, first of all, the soundtrack. This has a good 80s soundtrack, which I love, and after this film came out, in many vampire bars, they played these tunes, and I can see why, and me and Yakubo still sing, still dance, and, bang to them, if you get my drift. But yes, I love the soundtrack, the songs Boppin' Tonight, then there's others like, Armies of the Night, Good Man in Dark Times, Temptation, just a good soundtrack which I do enjoy, especially in that nightclub scene where Jerry is hypnotizing Katie and she dances along with him. That is such a moving yet wonderful scene, and I love it. I just love watching that moment in the film, and it's just so enchanting, and even gets me hypnotized sometimes, even though I'm the one meant to be doing the hypnotizing. So yeah, that's That is what I enjoyed about that scene. Roddy McDowall as well, he too was great, playing Peter Vincent, at first being a regular TV host and actor, but then soon finds that he's dealing with the real thing. At first hesitant like a regular human would be, trying to process his stuff, but he eventually comes to terms. And before this he was known as, Caesar and Cornelius in the Planet of the Apes franchise. So this was definitely something, different seeing him in it. But yeah, he didn't have makeup on this time. Great performance though from him. Great performance. Also, I enjoyed Amy Peterson's character, played by Amanda Bearsey. Is that her name? She too was a great support. She was very beautiful as well, and still maintains her good charms to this very day. And I liked her as the girlfriend. I also thought that William Ragsdale was great as Charlie. He was the typical 80s nerd, but somehow had a hot girlfriend, which, okay, yeah, fine, let's do that. And of course, I can't forget Chris Sarandon. Surrender, or whatever his name is. He was brilliant as the villain. The Vampire Jerry, the makeup he wore and stuff were all practically done, and even the effects for him turning were good stop motion visuals, and I just loved it. I loved the hell out of this film. It was followed by a sequel which didn't quite live up to, but this was definitely good. The remake was alright, but nothing can compare to this one, the original one. So I definitely enjoyed Fright Night. I can't think of anything to dislike about it, because I love it that much, and I can see why. It was definitely one of the top 2 highest grossing movies of that year in 1985, which we will get to in our facts. So, do I have anything to dislike? I don't think I do. Let's get to my ratings. I'm in a good mood here, and I don't have a bad thing to say. I've watched this film again and again, and I've never grown tired of it. I give it 5 fangs out of 5. So there you go, there's the review. Shall we move on to the mythology or the facts? Let's go with a random one. It's probably the mythos first. In Fright Night, we see the vampiric mythology is as common as the others. Holy water, religious objects like the cross, stake to the heart, sunlight, all weaknesses for the vampire in this. Also, the vampire Jerry, who seems to be an alpha vampire, when killed, he can have his newbies turn back after so long before the full conversion is complete, as we see in the film. Also, the vampire has demonic-like features, also shapeshifting into a bat as well, and can drink substances like liquids and food, but does not nourish them, as blood is their food source. But to resemble that of a fruit bat, he does dabble in eating fruit in this film. It was Chris Sarandon's idea to have Jerry eating apples throughout the film. While researching vampire lore, Sarandon looked at the information about bats and concluded Jerry had a lot of fruit bats in his DNA. Because of his theatrical roots and long hours spent in the makeup chair, Chris Sarandon helped apply his own vampire makeup and often worked on the finger extensions, while the makeup artists were putting appliances on his face. Writer-director Tom Holland sought out Brad Field to score the movie because he had been impressed by the music in the 1984 sci-fi action hit The Terminator. Fright Night was the second grossing horror film of 1985, just behind A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2: Freddy's Revenge.
One of the life masks of Roddy McDowall, taken for the Planet of the Apes franchise, is visible in Peter Vincent's apartment. The character Peter Vincent is named after two of the well-known best horror actors in the genre, that being Peter Cushing and Vincent Price. Charlie's 1966 Ford Mustang actually belonged to the writer and director Tom Holland. The car was totaled in an accident decades later. The cast and crew members have recalled that Roddy McDowall videotaped extensive on-set behind-the-scenes footage that none of them saw, and the whereabouts of the tapes to this day remain unknown.
So there you go, another episode for you there. How are you seeing the movie reviewed this month? Let us know down in the comments below. And did you learn anything you may not have about the film? Anyway, yes, I've been your host, Lark The Vampire, and this has been the bloody Fang-Tastic show. So be sure to like, share, comment, subscribe, and I'll be back next time with my penultimate ever episode. Yes, still 2 more to come for this. So until next time, don't have nightmares.